Coming from Central Kentucky, land of horses, bourbon, and basketball, straight to your ears, ChickenCoopGuides.com presents AgriCast Digest, your place to get news and information about anything agriculturally related. Please welcome your host, Gabrielle Yoder.
Welcome to AgriCast Digest. I hope wherever you're at, you're having a fabulous day. I know I am. I just read about a story, not super recent, but less than a month old, that McDonald's is joining Costco and phasing out the use of antibiotics in their chicken. Now, I don't eat at McDonald's ever when we're running around like, chickens, and we've been out in the minivan all day running here and there. We might pick up whatever's the least toxic option. We'd eat at Chipotle if they had one here, with their brave stance on being 100% anti-GMO. But no matter what, it's never McDonald's. I just can't do it. They, along with several other fast food giants, have horrible records of health, public safety, and animal cruelty. I mean, pink slime, anyone? Remember that? Meat glue? Not sure if you ever heard of that one. It's pretty nasty. But still, progress is progress, and I'm really excited about it. Now, as expected of the McDonald's isn't phasing out all antibiotics, because, they couldn't do that. Might hurt their bottom line or something, but there will be less, and I'm happy to report it. It means McDonald's is listening to their consumers, and the more informed consumers we have, the more companies will listen, and eventually, hopefully, within the next 10 years, we will have businesses who will put their money where their mouths are, because people won't tolerate anything less. I am all for free market economics, and that's how it works, people. Free market economics makes change. We don't need government mandates saying you can't have that soda, like in New York City. I think San Francisco, too, some other places. We need people to be interested in informing themselves as to why it's not a great choice to drink a 2-liter of soda a day. And eventually, the market follows on its own. The other side of that argument is, are antibiotics in our food supply a public safety issue? Well, yes. MRSA, MRSA, resistant superbugs. Where do you think they came from? It started with antibiotics being given to every living creature as the great cure-all, and now we're all paying the piper. Do I think that it will be outlawed to medicate unwilling consumers? Nope, it's not happening. There's too many potential lawsuits. Just look at our water supply. For 50 or more years, the American populace in most cities around the country have been unwittingly medicated in their water. Fluoride. Fluoride is a medication. And, some people even had considered at one point in time putting lithium in the water. I think they might even still be talking about it. Talking about putting lithium in our water just to make everyone calm down. If you don't believe me about the fluoride thing, it's a medication. Why did they put it in the water supply? Supposedly, it's because it's to make our teeth healthy and strong. But internal ingestion of fluoride doesn't necessarily work the way that they tell us it does. If you want more information about that, try going to fluoridealert.org. They've got some really great information from around the world from scientists that have studied the use of fluoride on people and animals. But anyway, that's a tangent. I'd like to go back to more pleasant topics, like chicken poop. No, I'm just kidding. That's a future episode. I'm winking at you, but you can't see me. Anyway, I've got this bag of questions you folks have sent me that's just kind of glaring at me. And I printed them out and stuck them in this bag so I can draw one out randomly. And I don't want to seem to be playing favorites. So what have we got here? I've got a question about rabbits. Well, that's a different one. Looks like Mr. George Jarvis here wants to know how to sex baby rabbits. Although this isn't really hard to do per se, it's hard to explain. So in this case, I'm going to link 2 videos on the podcast episode page that can best visually show how to sex adult and baby rabbits. The videos are very clear and they easily explain the best methods for handling and sexing rabbits of any age. So just check out the episode page and you'll be good to go. I've got another question here from Michael Banzoff. Michael wants to know about introducing hens into an existing flock. The hen he recently acquired is missing tail feathers because of the pecking order. He wants to know if he should quarantine her or take her into the healthy flock. Well, there's a lot of things to address with this simple question, Michael. So many factors to consider in what should be a relatively easy thing to do. First, I always recommend quarantining new hens, especially if you've never seen their health papers. Even if you have seen their health papers, things can go wrong. There's diseases like Merrick's, which can be completely asymptomatic. So a seemingly healthy hen can turn around and infect your entire flock. Or the opposite, and the new hen is a total goner. There are also other diseases that do this as well. If John covered this in that book he wrote recently called A Practical Guide to Chicken Illnesses and Diseases. And if you didn't get it as part of your membership, then I can link you to a standalone copy in the podcast episode page for those who are interested in having it. If you don't know where to find the podcast pages, just go to ChickenCoopGuides.com/podcast and it'll redirect you right there. Merrick's disease is, it can linger in the soil, on the, everything for years. It's kind of like potato blight in that way. Once the soil is infected, it can just stay there for years and years, and the virus just sits dormant until it has a host. So if you have Merrick's, it's almost like you should move or something, or just completely move your chickens to a completely different area. Now, the next thing you have to consider when introducing hens into an existing flock is you have to consider how the other chickens are going to get along with this intruder. The established pecking order is going to be tossed on its head, and a new Scrabble kind of begins for them to all fight for their places. And it can be really frustrating to watch, believe me. Or you might be the type to get a bag of popcorn and watch the new drama unfold like my husband does. It's necessary, though, so I'd introduce more than one at a time if possible. It's kind of best to get the worst over with at once, right? Like pulling off a Band-Aid. Now, you can hang tennis balls and cabbages or fruit from cord within easy reach of the chickens. This can help a lot since it helps them get their aggression out on an inanimate object instead of each other. I like to call them boredom prevention devices. It's not a cure, but it does help. Make sure that all of their basic needs are met, like water and food, and that's something else that's going to help smooth things over, because if they're already aggravated, already irritated, then they don't have water or food, or if they're missing, one of their basic needs, like, maybe they're dealing with a pesticide or a parasite infestation or something. That's not the time to introduce new chickens. Also, treats can soothe the savage bird. Now, don't go crazy, but throw out maybe a few more treats than you normally would. It's a really good distraction once they've pecked the cabbages to death. And after about 2 to 7 days, things usually mellow out again. Now, as for your poor baby's ball bottom, the feathers will grow back. Your biggest concern is to keep the other hens from picking at the growing feathers. The skin will get red from irritation, and the other birds will peck even more. The color red really excites them, and your hen really has no chance. So get some Blue Coat. That's BLUKOTE. So get some Blue Coat and paint the affected area. Just keep gloves on when you do this, since you'll be dyed too. You should be able to find it at any farmer's supply store. Or you can get it at Amazon. I can try to find a link for you after I've been recording here. If it comes back or the feathers don't start growing again, then you need to look for external parasites or watch for cannibal chickens. They will pick on each other if they're bored or crowded. Fresh greens really excite them, though, almost as much as bright red butts do. And so if you toss some greens out there, like clean grass clippings or weeds without pesticides, especially with the seed heads attached, they love it. Now, let's see here. I got a question from Joyce. She wants to know why one of her hens lays an egg and then breaks it. I didn't get any more information than that, so I assume she also means that the eggs are being eaten as well by the hens. Another customer named Susan recently had the same problem. And this is really one of the more frustrating things that can happen when you raise chickens, and it can happen for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's a lack of something in their diet. but often I found that it can just be plain boredom or circumstance. They accidentally broke an egg and they discovered that it tasted good inside. This weird yellow stuff tastes yummy. To stop this, you really have to be vigilant and take it seriously because it can turn into a learned behavior and spread to your other hens. I know farmers that eat egg eaters on site because they don't want to deal with it. And that's not a route I'm suggesting anybody take, but I'm just letting you know it can be difficult to break this. Now, first, make sure that you collect the eggs as early as possible during the day. That's going to help tremendously because if the eggs aren't there, they can't be broken and eaten. That will help you tremendously. Also, you know how you might have helped your mom make blown eggs at Easter to decorate? You poke a large needle in an egg and you swirl it around and then blow out the insides and you have a nice, clean, empty egg. Well, try doing this to a couple of eggs and fill them with mustard or dish soap with yellow food dye so that when they peck at the eggs, they get a nasty little surprise. That especially works great if you don't know who your culprit is, and sometimes you just can't tell. But if you see a beak that has yellow food dye on it, then you know you've got your answer. You can also use golf balls or those pretend plastic eggs. Just make sure that the hens are getting everything in their diet that they need, including greens and plenty of protein, to ensure that they aren't doing this as a last resort because of some nutritional deficiency that they have. Also suggest hanging a boredom prevention device. Works for just about everything. Hang it where they can get to it easily. They like cabbages, turnips, apples. If it's August, spared zucchini. They'll keep themselves entertained that way, and they usually leave their eggs alone. If none of these work to fix it, you might think of more drastic measures, like separating out that hen from the flock and working on her alone. Sometimes it's a matter of doing all of the above at once and stick to it. You can also get those boards that make the eggs roll down into the collection box before they can be stepped on by the chicken. Let's see here. Next question comes from Chris LaGrange. He says, my chickens, 6 of them, just started laying eggs. I have one that has laid a few eggs that are not perfectly smooth and egg-shaped. They have bumps and imperfections in the shell. There doesn't seem to be anything odd with the yolks. What's the cause of this, and should it be a concern? Well, first things first, thanks for writing to me, Chris. We do need more questions, by the way, folks. So please go to the podcast main page and send some more questions. We can't help if we don't know what you need help with. Next, it's time for some chicken education 101. Now, when chickens first start to lay, it is very common for them to lay weird eggs. Now, this could be anything from the little bumps and imperfections on the eggs that you're seeing now, to little tiny eggs or soft shellless eggs. And there's nothing weirder than a shellless egg, trust me. Now, once her cycles regulate, kind of like a human being, their cycles have to regulate just like a human woman's have to. So once the chicken cycle regulates, things are going to look better and more normal. However, if you continue to notice these bumps or if the overall texture of the egg is rougher past the first few months of laying, then you want to start looking at things that could be causing your hen to temporarily cease laying. The reason it's rough looking or has little globs of extra shell is because the egg sat in the oviduct a little too long and it started getting a second coating of calcium. So think of loud noises like kids, dogs, thunderstorms, etc., or water. Especially in the wintertime, if you don't have a water warmer and it freezes over, your hens can go off laying until they get more water. So if you feed your hens corn or a lot of starchy food that has very little protein, it could be a sign that they need more protein, so that they need a food adjustment, handfuls of peas or something like that. So while it might be a little painful for the hen, depending on how bumpy the egg is, and I don't even want to imagine that, ouch. It's perfectly safe and it shouldn't concern you as long as it's for a young laying hen. If it's for an older, more experienced laying hen, then it's a sign for you to look around and make sure that they're safe and well nourished. Now, sometimes for a really old hen, this is a sign that she's getting old and that she might stop laying soon. So just remember, weird eggs for really old layers and really young layers, perfectly normal. For, your average laying hen that's been laying for a while, then it's a cause for concern. Then you need to start looking at dietary and environmental factors. Now I've got the very last question here. Comes from Betty Hendricks, and she wants to know, is it safe to give chickens saltine crackers, cereals like Wheat Chex, Corn Chex, commercially canned whole kernel corn, beans, etc.? Well, is it safe? Sure. Is it healthy? No way. I will tell you a secret though. When we decided not to have that stuff in our house anymore, we fed it to the chickens. Incrementally, of course, the chickens loved it, and we emptied out several cereal boxes of the lightly or non-sweetened cereal into a bin and used it for treats along with old crackers. Now, when we first did this, we fed them too much, and we found out that too much human food leads to upset chicken bellies. So after that, we gave them a very small scoop twice a week and plenty of extra grains like weeds, especially the seed heads, and that balanced them back out. Too many sweets and treats, and don't think that those cereals don't have sugar, because you can bet that they have tons. Even the Chex, Cheerios, they all have lots of sugar. All of those can potentially cause such an imbalance that it leads to vent gleat, especially the whole kernel corn, the canned stuff. Anything with a lot of sugar in it or a lot of starch can cause vent gleat. And as we discussed I think it was last week or the week before, vent gleat's really bad. I'm not posting pictures. You'll know it when you see it. So my advice is really no way, unless you're cleaning out your pantry like we did, and you can't donate it to a food bank. If you choose to feed your chickens food that humans shouldn't even really be eating, then do it in small doses. In case you hadn't noticed, the majority of humans these days have GI problems. Have you ever gone to the bathroom at Kmart or Walmart? Ugh. It'll do the same for our feathered friends, only it looks a lot worse on them, and you have to clean it up. So on that happy note, I'm going to close for now. I hope that everyone has an awesome week, and please don't forget to send us those questions. We're working hard every day to find new content and new material just for you. We also have some really awesome stuff coming up the pipeline within the next couple of months, so I'll be dropping more hints within the next week or two. For that, I say good night and God bless.
You've been listening to AgriCast Digest. If you like what you just heard, please share with your friends. And don't forget to go to ChickenCoopGuides.com/podcast to download transcripts and archives of this episode, as well as take advantage of any freebies or trials offered in this episode. You can then visit our private podcast Facebook page, also linked there. This has been a Bluebird Media production.